Okay, let's switch over then and start talking about Mark Carney's budget. Because one of the things that you just mentioned is this kind of sleight of hand that seems to be taking place with the difference between a capital deficit and or a capital budget and operational budget. And so, typically you would assume that operations is the day-to-day spending of the government, and then the capital spending is investments in the future. And somehow in Mark Carney's costed platform budget, he sort of increased the number of things that you could typically describe as being investments in the country. And so that was sort of a way that he could say that he's not racking up as much deficit as possible. Could you help us understand what he did and why is that allowed? How is it that a prime minister could just change the way that we account our federal spending?
Well, first of all, the federal government and all the provinces have adopted capital budgeting for a long time now. And in fact, you calculate an operating budget where you subtract off, from the revenues received and all the costs of running the government, including depreciation costs on capital. And then you might have a capital budget that you report the capital, and then as it depreciates, you provide a stock. But that's been done, by the provinces and the federal government for some time. But there's always this issue about what you call capital. And if you put money into a bunch of funds that may not be spent until a later time, you're not necessarily creating capital, or at least not much capital. And so it's very confusing, actually, in terms of what is being called capital, without further explanation coming from the Liberal Party. And so when I look at all this so-called capital expenditure, it looks like to me it's just a bunch of money to be put aside to be spent in the future. In fact, they talk about cash costs versus accrual accounting, and it does sound like they're naming a lot of things as capital, but it's not clear it really is capital.